This is Sticks and Stones. I'm Vassy.
I'm Joshua.
Thanks for being here with us. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that has affected my life and many others in America heavily, and that's policing in America. And I feel that policing it doesn't get talked about enough, and how it affects people and how it doesn't affect other people. So I just want to talk about a couple things that have happened to me in my life, and just share those things with you guys out there. I've been stopped many times for no reason. I've been pulled out of a car and told that because of my size, I better not move, otherwise you'll be shot. I've been pulled over, had my car searched while I was in the military with no less than 15 police cars trying to find something on me, even though they knew I was an active service member. All based off of what we call DWB, driving while black. And I think that there needs to be some changes on how policing is done. It doesn't take a long amount of time for someone to get qualified and become a police officer. And I think that's a huge, huge mistake. There's not enough time to figure out whether these people that are getting hired are good people, have a decent moral compass, can handle pressure, and their background has a lot to do with who they are. So I just think there needs to be a lot more talk about policing in America and how it started.
I'm not going to have a lot to add to the conversation in respect to like anecdotal stories. As you would probably not be surprised, my interactions with the police are not very difficult. Usually if I'm getting pulled over, I'm speeding or something of that nature. I've actually, if I'm being really honest, given a lot of breaks when it comes to police, but I don't like to think that that's because I'm white. I like to think it's because when the cops come up, I'm cordial and I'm, hey, what do I do? A great example. My license was suspended. I just found out that it was suspended. I forgot to pay a ticket or overlooked it or just whatever. And it had gone on and I just overlooked it. So my license had been suspended. The story's about a year ago. And so when I got pulled over, I was speeding. I was coming back from Reno. So I was doing probably way over the speed limit.
Right.
And anyway, in that instance, the cop is very entitled to impound your car and take you to jail. Right. I was definitely doing that. And we didn't even have a conversation about it. He just knew that in BFE nowhere, Nevada, which is exactly where I was, if he tows my car, there was going to be not just an imposition on me. It was going to be very expensive. Not only was going to ruin my day, probably ruin my week, at that point. And he just handed me a citation. He didn't even say, "Don't let me catch you again." And I remember that, pretty vividly. And again, I don't like to think it's because I'm white. I like to think that it was just because I was cordial with the police officer. He'd asked me where I was coming from. I said, visiting my daughter. So, I mean, the story there was very reasonable to where I would think that any compassionate person would be like, I'm not going to ruin your life or your week, over something that's just really a suspended license, which I was in the process of getting taken care of anyway. I just found out about it, and stuff. So my point here being is that my interactions with the police have been different, than yours. I don't have a lot of anecdotal stories to tell that are poor, in that respect. And I have no reason to not believe you, when it comes to that. What I will talk about, though, is you say that police need better training. And again, another shameless plug, I am running for State Assembly District 5, and that would absolutely fall under the purview of the Nevada legislature. So please visit DowdenForNevada.com and vote on June 9th or before for me in Summerlin. But what I will say is that I'm all for better training.
Right.
For police officers. We may very possibly have a different idea of what better training looks like. But I don't think police officers need to be, for example, social workers. I don't think that. Policing is a difficult job. And I would hope that you would concede that when somebody's going up to a traffic stop, you don't know who's in the car, what they're doing, what they have, and things of that nature. So there's a certain amount of caution that police need to be prepared for. And that by no way stretch of the imagination is justifying just anything that they would do that's illegal. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that there's a certain amount of caution. I mean, these people are at risk when it comes to that. They don't know what they're getting into. But should there be more training? I'd be happy to look at that. I'd be happy to see that. But what I'll finish here this piece with: police do have body cameras now. So maybe they did not way back when, but they do now. So I think that is one of the greatest things that we have, that police have the evidence right there. If there's some, police are not above the law. They're not superheroes. They are heroes for the most part. They are, tasked with keeping us safe and doing it in a responsible manner. So for the good men and women of the police force that are out there, thank you for doing what you do. Like anything, there are bad people that are in any particular situation.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
And not all of my interactions have been terrible. However, they are all scary because you don't know what type of police officer you're going to get when you get stopped or pulled over or whatever it is that you're doing during your day. I've had one or two that didn't change my mind about police officers, but I walked away going, okay, this guy is a good guy. I'm glad he's out here.
Okay.
But when they stop me for no reason, it's scary. And for a police officer to say, hey, why are you nervous? Because you're a police officer. Why are you shaking? Because I don't know why you stopped me. I didn't do anything. Well, you fit the description. Well, no crap. I fit the description. Who are you looking for? Surely isn't me. I got my daughter in the car. We're just coming back from picking her up from school. What could we have possibly done with my kid in the car? And that trauma that I endure gets put on my kids because they have to deal with that.
I would think that you would have a really good case against the police with body cameras now, to where if something like that were to happen and they pulled you over for no reason and they said, you just fit the description of what, and they don't give you any idea or any example of that, I would think that you would have a pretty good lawsuit against the police. I would encourage you to, if that ever happens again with the evidence that would be presented, I would encourage you to hold them accountable. I mean, police are not above the law. They're just not. And they're there to serve us, to help protect us, to help keep us safe. But I will say that every time I get pulled over, I don't like them either. I don't. When a cop is in the general vicinity, I pucker up too. Like, oh my God, is everything okay? Right now, my brother is a firefighter, and what he is really cute. And he likes to say, everybody likes firemen. Nobody likes police officers. Right. There's a lot of truth to that.
Facts. I'll just say that there needs to be changes in the system. I do believe the police need to be in the community with the community, so we know their faces. You talk about body cameras. Takes an act of God sometimes to get that footage.
I don't know that to be the case one way or the other. I don't have any experience in that whatsoever. I just know that all police have body cams.
Not all, but most. Just walk into a police station, the battle has begun. They don't want to turn on their brothers and sisters. They know you're there for a reason that's not good, and the battle has begun. And for me, it's not worth the hassle. I have to give them my information, which I don't want to do. They know where I live. They know what kind of car I drive. They know the areas I drive in. No, thank you.
Do you think they're out to get you?
100%. Yes. Yes.
There are roughly 13% of the population in America is black. You think the police are out to get 13% of the population, or just Bassy?
So if you know the history of policing and how it started, maybe your opinion of that might change. Policing started because runaway slaves, they stuck those people, the police, to go get them and bring them back. That is where policing started. And the history of policing has not changed a whole lot since then. How many, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that there's more African-American men in jail than there are by ratio than others. We're stopped more often. We are given harder sentences by the judges. So the whole system needs a revamp.
Okay, there's a little bit to unpack there. So would you say that during sentencing or apprehension there's nuance? Would you say that?
There's always nuance.
Okay, so I don't know the numbers either, but if you were to tell me that by population percentage, there are more black men incarcerated by percentage of the population than white men. Okay, I have no reason to disagree with that. I don't know the facts, the stats on that. I'll concede that. I'll just go ahead and concede that. Would you say that when people get arrested, more often than not, there is a reason they got arrested, not convicted, arrested? There's a reason.
There's always a reason.
Okay.
Whether it's a lawful reason or not, I don't know.
All right. Would you say when somebody is convicted that more often than not, there is a beyond reasonable doubt conviction?
I would disagree.
Okay. I mean, you're allowed to disagree with that. I don't know one way or the other. I just know that's the standard of the law of the land is beyond a reasonable doubt. I would concede that there are some people that take a plea deal as opposed to going to trial because it looks like the evidence is such to where they would rather take a plea deal.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Again, I'm going to concede that. I don't really know that to be the case one way or the other. But if you told me that, that probably would happen. You're facing 25 to life, and they say we'll give you 5 years. Just plead to this. Okay. That may be a reasonable thing for some people to do. Are black men in America overrepresented in prisons? I've heard that. I don't know that that's the case, but I'll concede these things. I'll just say they are.
Okay.
Would you then concede that the majority of them have committed a crime? They're in prison because they committed a crime.
I wouldn't concede that. No.
And I didn't say all of them.
No.
And a majority would be 51%. I mean, I don't know what a majority is. Just more than not.
I wouldn't concede that just based off of my experiences, how many times I've been stopped.
Did you go to prison?
No, because I didn't do anything.
Okay, well, you're saying that they didn't do anything either. I'm saying they committed a crime.
I'm just not willing to concede that.
All right. Fair enough.
You did say something earlier, and it alluded to me playing victimhood. 13% of the population are just out to get Vassy. There are many, many, many black people that live in America that experience the same things that I've experienced and generations back have, which is the reason why we have the talk with our mostly young men, but now young women, when they start to become of age. And the talk is when you get pulled over, you say, yes, sir, no, sir, or yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You turn the car off, you put the keys on the dashboard, you roll down all the windows, you put your hands out the window, and you wait for them to arrive. And hopefully that will keep you safe.
Outside of putting your hands out of the window, I think that's a reasonable response for everybody to do. Turn off your car, roll the window down, say yes, sir.
So
no,
if you're driving down the speed limit's 45 and you're driving 45 and you get pulled over, you didn't do anything wrong. Typically you would be upset.
I have been to enough, what do you call them? Traffic schools. I'm a bit of a lead foot. Been to enough traffic schools and listened to the officers talk about how to avoid a ticket that I think it's an exceptional idea when they come up for you to absolutely yes sir, no sir, and just pay attention, because it does you no good at all to say I didn't do shit and and just be confrontational. That does you no good whatsoever, because that officer has the ability. He has they have the power to write you a ticket or do a number of different things to you. And as long as it's been my experience, as long as you are agreeable with them, then most of the time, a lot of the times, they want to let you off as lenient as they can. Sometimes it's a ticket. Sometimes it's, doing, what it is they need to do. Other times, it's not. But if a cop walked up to me and I was only doing 45, I'm probably not going to have a good interaction with that cop. Versus the cop walks up to me and he says, do you know what you were doing? I'm like, I really don't. Well, you were doing 50 and 45. I don't think I was, but it doesn't really do me any good because here we are and you think that I am. You're going to write me the ticket and I'm going to fight it, and things like that. But it doesn't do you any good to argue with an officer. It doesn't do you any good.
Well, we're human, right? And if you got pulled over 5 times in a year and let off because you didn't do anything, you would be upset. Here we go again.
Sure.
We have emotions.
Sure.
People are emotional, and they have the tendency to unlawfully ask you to do things, and I have the right to be upset when they do that.
All of that is the case, and at the end of every interaction, I love you. That being said, we need to take a break. This is a tense conversation that we will likely revisit in the future. So just for the future, love you. We'll be back.
Peace.
If you want attention, you need more than an ad. You need a presence. Welcome to WWDBTV, your internet streaming TV station built for business and people. We create high-impact commercials and video podcasts with pro production. Then we help distribute your show where audiences already watch and listen. Your brand, your story. Broadcast ready. On streaming, on social, and beyond. Ready to be seen? Visit WWDBTV.com and book your production today.
Welcome to Sticks and Stones. We are the show that talks about controversial topics from a nuanced perspective. I'm Joshua.
I'm Vassy.
And we are, first off, I'd like to have a plug for, on our last segment, whether you saw it or not, our Nevada judges. Apparently there was some conversations that we had, and I'd like you to lead you to that site. They do not sponsor the show, although that would be great if they did. But just so you have all of the information, go visit our Nevada judges so that you are as informed, as you can be.
Yeah, and I'd like to say just, sometimes these conversations seem a little tense. These conversations are all out of love. And the reason why it's called Sticks and Stones is because words don't hurt you. What you do to one another and how you care about one another is really what matters. Although we seem contentious, we're more like brothers than some brothers are, and we love each other.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily get to choose your blood family, but you do get to choose, the people that you call family.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that was really the reason why we started this podcast, is because while I love you, we disagree on just about everything, which is fine.
Which is strange because we're more alike than not.
We really are. When you get to the underlying
right
issues, I think we are more alike, than not. So that's going to lead us to to today's topic, or this segment's topic is it's going to lead right into that. Is there a civil war coming? So depending on, first off, I'd like to say, God, I hope not.
Right.
I just hope that's not the case. That is going to be really awful and really terrible. But I think that there is a section of the country that does not want to disagree with the other section of that country. I think the demographics lay it out pretty clearly that the majority of the country is going to be center-ish and reasonable and doesn't take really hard stances. But you do have the fringes on both sides. There's enough blame for this to go around that just digs in their heels and does not want to concede to the other factions, I guess, if you will. Some evidence that I would look at if there's a civil war coming is recent attempts on the president's life. Whether you like the president or not, I would sincerely hope you don't want him assassinated. I don't know how that helps anybody.
I definitely don't want to see President Trump get murdered. I don't want to see that. I would like to see all of the facts to see if these things are factual or staged. If you believe the internet one way or another, some people believe they're absolutely true. And on the other side, there's evidence that these things are staged. And honestly, out of all the presidents that have been around, I don't know how many, 40, what?
Well, he's 47.
He's
then there have been 2 that have been twice, so 45.
45 presidents. And there's been assassination attempts on him at least twice in the last 2 years.
3 times.
3 times. That's an anomaly. So there should be some questions that are asked.
I'm fine with all the questions. I'm fine with that. I would like to make sure that I state very clearly and very plainly that I do not support President Trump if he is guilty of these high crimes that people would have him be. For example, if he is a pedophile, I would not support him. If he was in league with Russia, I would not support him. If he was staging his own attempts on his life, obviously would not support him. I support him for a lot of other reasons, but if he were guilty of these things, the MAGA movement would not support him. That I want to be clear. If there was evidence of this, which, I mean, boy, the one who shot him in the ear, what type of marksmanship would you have to shoot somebody in the ear, to make sure that they survive? That is just insane to me. The most recent guy was a clear lunatic. I mean, he had a manifesto and everything. I mean, this guy was clearly in for Donald Trump. The guy who shot Charlie Kirk was deeply disturbed. So, I mean, to think that these things were staged, the conspiracy theory you'd have to have.
I don't think Charlie Kirk's was staged. I believe that was something that happened. And it's, you talk about Civil War, the division, in my opinion, that he helped. So those are the type of people that bring about division and separations of people like you and I. We need more people that are trying to bring us together.
Absolutely.
Versus tear us apart. And if we continue on this roadmap going 100 miles an hour plus, there's a good chance that this democracy fails. And
it's a republic. It's a constitutional republic. If we were a true democracy, we would have California and New York deciding for the rest of the country. And so I'm very happy that the framers gave us a true republic, a constitutional republic, instead of a democracy. But to your point,
you don't think we're a democratic country?
We're a democratic republic.
So both are true.
Yeah, but we're not a true democracy. A democracy is the majority rules, and that's not what we are. We are a constitutional republic, which clearly states that every state in the union has their own sovereignty and has their own voice.
We know that majority doesn't rule because voting with the electoral college doesn't really matter.
I'm glad you bring that up. So the electoral college is the most brilliant form of governance that we have ever seen.
Of control.
So, of electing your officials that we have ever seen. So we have in a constitutional republic. So what the difference is, in a democracy, you have majority rules. In a constitutional republic, you elect representatives to represent your best interests. Right. So if you live in Montana has 2 senators and 1 representative, 1 congressional representative. So they collectively elect 2 senators and one congressional representative. So their population says we only get 1 congressional representative, and that's their voice in 435 congressmen and women. But because we're a constitutional republic, their voice should matter as much as anybody else's. So they get 2 senators, just like everybody else. So 2 senators, 1 congressman, but nonetheless, in the Senate, their vote counts just as much as anybody else's because they have 2, just like everybody else. In the House, their voice is drowned out by California, New York, and Illinois, and Texas, and bigger states because of their population. So that is a perfect representation of my voice should matter, but I understand I'm still in the minority of the population. It's a perfect example of that. So when we elect a federal representative like the president, those voices should matter equally. Is that my voice should matter as much as everybody else's, but I also understand that we are the minority population. And that's exactly the dynamic at work. And I think it is beautiful. If you want to live in a state like Montana or Texas or California, you can. And you can elect those representatives. And I promise you, those state representatives have more influence over your daily life than the federal government does. So you need to get involved in those elections. You need to get involved in the people that run those, your city council people, your mayor, your governor, people like that, your assembly men and women and state senators. They matter more to your everyday life than what the federal government does. But back to the electoral college, that is the fairest way to elect a representative.
Why have a popular vote then?
You don't have a popular vote.
We have a popular vote.
I mean, you keep that doesn't the popular vote didn't mean anything.
I know.
Per state, it does. We have a lot of things that we keep track of that don't matter, and they like to use the popular vote just as some sort of benchmark. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So why have it? I'd be fine if they didn't report that at all. What difference does it make? It's not important.
It matters none. So then,
when it comes to electing people, it doesn't matter.
Right. So then, why vote?
What do you mean why vote? I just told you why vote.
I know, but
so
why
you vote. You vote
if
for your elected
if our vote-
representative.
yeah, but if our vote doesn't count,
Your vote does count.
One of our votes doesn't count.
Your vote counts just as much as anybody else's. You elect your representative. Your representative then goes and gives your will.
I understand that. Then why have the popular vote? What is its intent?
I'm telling you, there is no need for a popular vote. They keep track of it just because they are the media.
Right. In my opinion, we have that is to create division. One half of the country votes this way, one half of the country votes that way.
You won't get an argument out of me when it says that the media divides the country. You won't get an argument out of me at all when it comes to that.
It's not the media, it's the government.
The government doesn't report the popular vote. That's the media. The media does that.
The government allows for those things to happen.
What do you mean allows for it? We live in a free society. You're allowed to do what you want to do.
You believe we live in a completely free society. I don't agree
Complete
with that.
Free is we live in the freest nation in the history of the world. The freest. We are the freest.
If a civil war broke out today, would we be on the same side?
God, I hope so.
What do you like based off of our what we believe in? What do you think?
I don't really give that any thought. I don't.
We brought the topic up.
I know. I don't give it a thought if you and I would be on opposite sides of that. But if you wanted me, I'm on the side of freedom and the Constitution. That's where I lay it.
So I would bet money that if there was a civil war, the most oppressed people would be on one side, and the unoppressed would be on the other side. And I am from an oppressed people. So I would be on that side.
The way that I would look at that is that you would say oppressed versus oppressor, I guess. I would say we're Americans. If you believe in freedom, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in our way of life, there's only one group. There's not oppressors versus oppressed. I mean, by that rationale, there's a number of different groups that can be oppressed. White people can be oppressed by some people. Asian people can be oppressed by some people. I mean, everybody has the I guess ability or position to be oppressed by somebody else.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. I just disagree with your premise.
Oh, well, then state that. Don't make this broad thing about everyone can be oppressed. For real, we know these things.
No, you know these things.
Everyone can be oppressed.
Everybody can be oppressed.
Everyone knows this.
You selectively choose one group that's oppressed.
Well, because I am from an oppressed people. You are not.
I would disagree with that. I mean, at some point,
who's your oppressor?
Irish people were oppressed at one point.
Who's your oppressor?
Well, I don't have an oppressor. I don't accept any oppressor. I don't accept that. I dismiss that entirely.
You don't have an oppressor.
You don't either.
I would love to say that, but I do.
Who is your oppressor?
You.
That's not cool at all.
And people like you.
That's not cool at all.
It's the truth.
It's not the truth. I mean, that may be how you view things, but there's just no truth to that whatsoever.
It's my truth. I'm not saying you specifically.
I'm
saying people like you.
You said you.
You. White men. There are some good white men like you, but there are the people that are in charge, and they happen to be white men. And those are not just my oppressors, your oppressor, poor white people's oppressor, poor black people, poor Hispanic. They're the people in charge. They are the oppressor.
Could you choose to live in a city that was governed by black people? Baltimore is almost exclusively black. Detroit.
I could choose to live wherever I want.
That's my point. You could. Would you be happier doing that? I'm not telling you to move. That's not what I'm saying. No. That's just ridiculous. I'm just saying, would you be happier?
It wouldn't change who my oppressor is, though.
Even if your mayor, your governor, your chief of police, and all your elected representatives were black, it wouldn't change anything.
So that the mayor, he has an oppressor. Who is he?
The people, I don't know.
Rich white men.
In Baltimore.
In the country.
So there's a cabal.
If the mayor drives down the street, he has the same chances of getting pulled over just like I do because he's black. Maybe more because he has a nicer car.
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
I don't know about that. I mean, if the chief of police is black, if the mayor's black, if the governor's black.
Not all black people are on the same side. There's a whole handful of black men and women that are on the MAGA side. And some of them are police officers, and they do more harm to us than other people. So that that doesn't matter, because what they believe in is what the rich and powerful believe in, and they believe they're different, but they are no different than me.
All right.
And we're talking about differences, Civil War.
Yeah.
And they would be on the opposite side than I would. And I would have no problem putting them down. Just like anyone else.
All right. I think that's all we got for this topic. Maybe we will revisit that in the future, because there is still a lot more to unpack. But as always, love you.
Love you.
And we'll see you after this. Welcome to Sticks and Stones, everybody. We are the show that tackles nuanced, difficult discussions, and we are of the opinion that sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never
hurt me.
My name's Joshua.
I'm Vassy.
And today we have decided to discuss ICE and is it necessary?
Oh, boy.
Of course, we were talking about immigration, customs enforcement. I actually heard a new one today. It was National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Nice. Which I thought was fantastic. So once again, I think we're going to be on opposite sides of this. And I do believe that ICE is necessary. I do believe that we have boundaries and borders, and they need to be enforced. I do believe that as a nation, we should look for growth, and we should look for people that want to join and assimilate to our society and join the greatest country that has ever existed. But there also is rules and ways to go about that. And unfortunately, when people come across illegally, there needs to be a mechanism to enforce this.
Oh man, the word illegal. That's the word with this whole thing that really bothers me. How can you determine if they're doing something lawful or illegal without a trial?
All right. So if somebody enters the country and they are not a citizen, that's breaking a law.
So when this country was first growing and coming about, people entered this country and they were allowed to just stay without any kind of process. They just became citizens.
At that time, there was no law preventing that.
Right. Why was there a law created if there wasn't a law back then?
I don't know how many laws are on the books right now, but laws get created all the time to adapt and strengthen our society. Some good, some bad, some we repeal, some not.
Or to keep some people out.
To keep some people out.
And allow some people in.
And allow some people in. I mean, that's fine. We live in a nation that we have an idea of our society and what we would like that to be like. Now, there's different ideas behind that, but nonetheless, we are Americans, and most of us love the idea of being American. Most of us love the idea of our constitutional rights, and we live the idea of our freedom. And there's a lot that goes into that. And these people that are coming in, most likely, they want that too, which it's hard to fault that. If I were born in another country and somebody said, what are the a very poor nation, and somebody gave me the opportunity to come to America, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Why wouldn't you do that? I was fortunate enough to where I was born here, and I thank God for that. That's right. Fantastic. But the fact of the matter is, though, once you let too many people in that you can't keep track of, that don't share your ideas, that in many cases disturb what you are trying to accomplish as a society, there needs to be a mechanism that puts all of that right again.
So what do we know about undocumented immigrants? What do we know? We know that most of them have jobs. We know that most of them want to be citizens. We know most of them aren't breaking the law. We know that most of them have families and they want to be, like you said, Americans just like us. That's the majority. We have citizens that were naturally born here that are not law-abiding citizens, don't care about family, aren't working, aren't productive people in society. You have this set of people that are those things, and we have, just because they're citizens, this group of people that aren't. Why is it so hard for this one group to become citizens when they're doing all the things that Americans do, other than having that little piece of paper that says they're citizens.
Just like in your own family, if somebody in your family does something that you don't agree with, and it could be a variety of different things, right? It could be anything from super egregious to something that's very forgivable over here. They are part of your family, so you do everything you can to work within that framework of family. There comes a time to where you say, okay, you're just too much, and you can't be part of this family anymore, and that happens, right? As opposed to somebody from a different street or different block or different neighborhood or different city. You don't just say, hey, come on in. I think that you look like you're a decent person. Come on into my house and be part of my family. It's not how it works. Americans as a whole are a part of a family.
Right. This country is a Christian nation.
I disagree with that, but
you can disagree with it, but in God we trust is on our dollar bill.
Yeah.
It's a Christian nation. And if you are a Christian, you're supposed to love thy neighbor and welcome them in as Jesus would do. We aren't doing that. We aren't.
Jesus also said, to grab a sword. Jesus said a lot of things. Just because he said love thy neighbor, he didn't say invite him into your house and let him sleep in your bed and eat your food. He just said love your neighbor.
You just make these wild statements about come on into we're talking about just coming into our country.
Yeah, I am talking about coming into our country.
It's not the same thing.
Sure it is.
Those things are completely different. Drastically different. Of course I'm not going to invite. Maybe I would. I have before. I've had homeless people into my home, fed them, let them shower, gave them money, got them a hotel, and make sure they were okay. I have done that. Not because I'm a Christian, but because it's the right thing to do. So I don't know if I can agree with that statement either. But we're talking about the initial conversation was ICE.
Right.
And
that's the mechanism to enforce our immigration policy.
And how they enforce it, especially currently, is bass-ackwards. That is not how law enforcement is supposed to conduct themselves.
So if there is a legal warrant to deport somebody, they go and deport them. What is so ass backwards about that?
But that's not what's happening.
That's what I see happening is there is a legal warrant to go deport somebody. So
two things can be true at the same time. There's immigrants that are in the process of becoming Americans and have legal documentation stating so, which means they're allowed to go through the process before they are kicked out. They are kicking these people out without asking any questions, putting them in concentration camps without checking anything, taking kids. What?
Well, all right. So the taking kids from their parents, if you get arrested for whatever reason, you're speeding unlawfully and you have to go to jail and you have kids in your car, you get separated from your kids. Getting arrested, you get separated from your kids. There's no other way to do that. You can't take your kids with you to jail. That's not how it works. I don't like it either, but if there's a better, scenario out there, if there's a better way to do it, I'm all for it. But when you get arrested and your kids are present with you, you get separated from your kids no matter what happens, no matter what you're doing.
But this isn't the police. This is ICE, and it's a completely different situation.
So would you like to see the kids come along with the parents while they get arrested?
I would hate to have the kids separated from their families. And
so would I, and I think so would they.
And no way for them to find them whatsoever.
What would be the easiest way for that not to happen?
Let them go through the due process.
Don't bring your kids across the border illegally.
No,
that would be the easiest way for that to happen.
No, I don't agree with that. The borders we have.
You don't think America should have borders?
I do.
Okay.
But there's some people that are allowed to walk through those borders and nothing happens to them. And then there's some people that try to get to these borders and they have the whole United States on their back trying to kick them out. It's not a fair playing ground. It's not the same. People aren't being treated justly across the board. If they treated everyone the same and went after all of the undocumented immigrants, all of them, then maybe my stance would be different. But that isn't happening.
So you're suggesting that there are a group of people that are not being deported versus a group of people that are.
100%.
Okay.
It's not a suggestion.
I don't have any evidence of that, whatsoever. But I would say if you are in the country illegally, then a court issues your deportation orders, then ICE is going to come for you.
Why did ICE get targeted to Minnesota? Why do you think?
I don't know that ICE was targeted to Minnesota. I think Minnesota got a lot of airplay, a lot of national airplay, because they were resisting ICE's detention orders. I think all over the country, ICE is operating, and they weren't getting the media attention that Minnesota was getting because there weren't the protests that were happening in Minnesota.
So when your president says people from Somalia, because there's a lot of Somalians in Minnesota, they come from a shithole country. Do you think that he wants those people here? You don't think that was a absolute target on them?
So are you suggesting that he targeted Minnesota?
Yes.
And that deportations are not happening to that same degree in other parts of the nation?
100%.
I don't know if that's the case at all. I mean, if you have evidence of that, point it out in the comments. If you have evidence of that, I don't. What I do know that happened is there was a lot of media coverage that happened in Minnesota.
Why is there a lot of media there?
There's a lot of different reasons for that.
Give me two.
Well, the protests were happening.
Why were there protests?
That was a big deal because the people that are protesting have Trump derangement syndrome, and they just can't stand anything.
Imaginary.
More people were deported under Obama than were deported under Trump, yet there were no protests. None.
Because how you do it matters.
Trump's not out there arresting people.
But he's in charge.
Okay, they were deporting more people during Obama. What do you mean? How? Are you separating the kids?
How you do things matters just as much.
You put cuffs on them and you deport them.
How you do things matters.
I mean,
Are you saying that Obama said, "Well, these people are from this shithole country. I'm going to send this enforcement agency over there heavily and go target them"?
Trump never said that either.
But those are two different. That's what he did.
Okay, you're implying that he said something that he didn't.
Those happen. We watched it happen.
Shithole countries, and then some months later, he said deport these people. Those two things are not connected. You connected these dots that aren't connected.
No, I didn't connect them. They connected themselves.
Okay.
I just followed the trail.
There have been immigration enforcement for decades.
Yep.
But when Obama did it and when Biden did it, nobody said boo. When Trump does it, now all of a sudden it's the worst thing ever.
When Bush did it, no one said anything. Because when you do things a certain way, the American way, that matters. Trump is way outside of the norm.
What is Trump doing to deport people that other presidents weren't doing?
How is it okay for two American citizens to get shot by ICE because they were protesting?
Those two things were incredibly unfortunate. Very, very, very unfortunate.
Well, you asked me what the difference is. That's part of the difference. He sent those people out there with immunity that they shouldn't have to do whatever they want to these people to get them out. I have
no reason to believe that these ICE officers wanted to kill people. I have no reason to believe that whatsoever. I don't think there were nearly the protests during other administrations that there are right now. And so the protesters, they put themselves in harm's way. I'm not saying by any stretch they deserve it, because they did not. These are horrible, horrific things that happen to these people. But if they were protesting during that time period versus not protesting, then if you did not want to, if
protest shouldn't mean harm.
I agree with that. I agree.
You just said they put themselves in harm's way. They did constitutionally.
Okay. The one protester got into her car and drove forward.
So what?
And there were people in front of her.
So what? They told her to leave.
No, they did not. No, they did not. They actually told her to stay. They told her to stay. They told her to get out of the car and stay.
Two different directions on what to do.
Okay. Again, I'm not defending this at all.
Sounds like you are.
I am not. I'm just saying that is the reality of what happened. Was they told her to stay. She got in her car and she left.
So what? She should get shot?
I'm not saying that at all. Matter of fact, I'm saying it's a horrific thing that happened. But there were protests. That was the difference between what was happening then and what's happening now. And so these bad things happen because there were different circumstances that were happening.
Protests because we live in the greatest nation, as you say. And
that allows you to protest.
Yes. They were unarmed, doing things legally. One of them was armed, but he had his firearm legally. Did you not see the video?
I did see the video.
How they took his weapon away from him and then he was shot after?
I am not defending that at all.
But you're asking me why it's different. That is why it's different.
The protests.
No.
Do you think the ICE officers went there with malicious intent to kill these people?
These ICE officers, first of all, they come from the J6. Many of them. They shouldn't be ICE officers. They have no training. So they don't know what the heck they're doing.
I don't know what kind of training they have or they don't have. If you say they don't, again, I have no reason. If you have some evidence of that, leave in a comment. I don't know that one way or the other. I don't. I would like to look into that for sure. I would definitely like to have an informed, prepared.
Well, let's talk about that
Police
next
staff.
time.
So I think so. Are we out of time?
I think we're out of time.
All right. Once again, as always, love you.
Love you.
And more topics that are going to be contentious, and we will save this for the next time.
Right.
So please like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
See you next time.
Peace.